VP development of delivery and discovery in Exlibris. I have the opportunity to work with the company for 12 years, okay? So let's start. First, I need some explanation about this. People asking me, and I get tired from repeating myself. So, do you recognize this place? Kyrgyzstan, yeah. It's in Kyrgyzstan. It's a very high place, like 3,500 meters above sea level. I was playing with horses, okay? You see, this is me. It's a lamp in my hand. Now, some Kyrgyz guy was chasing me, so I had to run fast. And this is how it ends. Yeah, it ends with me making 2,000 pieces puzzle, which is very challenging. Yeah. So, before we start, there wasn't a question yesterday in the Q&A about open platform. The question was saying that, Exlibris, saying that, their system are open platform, and someone was citing Wikipedia about open platform. Yeah, I started 12 years ago in Exlibris. I was the first Java developer, okay? At the time, we were thinking that open platform is to give the customer a lot of options, okay? What color you want, you can choose red, green, and yellow. But the customer always wants the option that does not exist. So if you look at Aleph, the tab tables in Aleph, a lot of configuration. And then we thought that APIs are open platform. So we come with the X services, if there are people that are familiar with Aleph. By the way, the X services is early version of JSON API. It's the same idea, a URL in XML or a JSON out. And then we come with plugins that you can add in Primo. You can add enrichment plugin and third-node search plugin. But it was not enough, especially when we moved to the cloud. Because once we moved to the cloud, it was very problematic to put code in the SaaS system. Okay, so this was not an option. The way that people customize the Primo in local environment, we call it customization, but some can say hacking. So it's like, it's something between customization and hacking. And then we install a version, and everything stops working, and you need to, to understand how to handle it. And now we move to the cloud. Customer cannot access the files. What are we going to do? I think that the movement to the cloud wants something much better, because we had to have a clean line between what is customization and what is the platform. So we will see it we already see in the customization package of Primo that there is a clear cut. This is the package, this is the framework, this is your hooks. You saw in the example for each web component you have after and before, and we guarantee that those hooks will stay in their place, not like in current Primo when you based on an HTML ID, and then this ID is removed in some version, so there is a clear cut. Also in Josh's presentation on the webhooks, very clear cut. Here is the platform, here is your code. Nothing will be breakout. So we learn about openness through these years. We add plugins, webhooks, and I think that the Primo customization package is like another step toward a real openness. Now, you guys, when you meet Exlibris people, you usually meet the managers, but I want to show you the people that really do the work, okay? So here is the new UI team, okay? So this is where we are doing our Agile meeting every morning. Every morning, 9 o'clock, the entire team stand in front of a wall with Agile notes, and those are the shirts that they got 1 month ago. There are some shirts here. Masoud probably will give them for some lucky guys. That's the team. We are very excited about Primo new UI. Usually, at the beginning of a project, I try to to put a very measurable target. And the target was, we want 2 live customers by the end of the year. But I think that the new year, it's a way of our control. We already have much more than 2 live customers. I believe by the end of the year, we have like a couple of dozen of New Year customers. We are very happy with that. There is a long list, all work, press those links. You will get into live projects or projects that are going to be live very soon. So it has its own legs, and I was very pleased to sit behind and see the presentation, what people start do with the new UI customization just a month after, it was released in August, we're in September, just months after it was released. Yeah. And those are live systems that are already working. We're getting great feedback. So let's talk about those bullets. When you choose development environment, what are you looking for? What is a single page application and responsive UI? Few words about Angular and directive. I'm not going to talk much. I'm going to get down off this stage in 5 minutes, because I know this kind of people in the room, it's people that said, show me, don't tell me. Very soon, Noam Amit, my colleague, will go on the stage and demonstrate, the things in life. So be patient, 5 minutes. Of course, you want it modular, you want code reuse, you want to do a lot of, to do copy paste as much as possible. You want to develop once and run anywhere. When we start thinking about the new year, we were thinking maybe we should go with a native application, okay, native application for mobile, for iPhone, version 1, version 2, and for Android, etc. So you look for a framework in which you will develop it once and it will run everywhere, on laptop, tablets, iPhones, etc. You want it to be common use. You don't want to be the only one that uses this development technology, because you want sharing, you want help from the community, collaboration, etc. Want data binding between the view, the UI, and the data element on the server. You want it to be responsive. What is responsive? Responsive is about being responsive to the size of the screen. So if I squeeze the screen, the facet, I want it to disappear. And if I squeeze it even more, I want the images to disappear, etc. Because those days, every one of us have a laptop, an iPad, a laptop, an iPhone, different sizes. It's the same application. You want to see it in the best way in all. It must be accessible. There is no option not to be accessible. So how a framework can be accessible? It can be accessible if you use a built-in component that are already have the accessibility understanding, and you use them, your system is more likely to be accessible. Performance, okay? And Angular brings performance. I know that, I saw the slide about the new UI that is slower than the classic UI. This is going to fix, as soon as possible. From my point of view, performance is before everything. First performance, then functionality. People will not use the application, it will not be super fast. It's going to be super fast. There is no reason that it is not going to be super fast, because the technique is better than the classic UI. In the classic UI, you make a request to the server, and you get an HTML, huge HTML. It can be even 1 megabyte HTML in response. And network make it slow. In Angular, it's only the data, okay, the JSON element that being transferred from the server to the client. So there is no architecture limit that should make the new UI slower. It will be faster than the classic UI. Security, of course, something that we need to take into account. Single page application, responsive web design. Let's understand what are those
two bullets. Single-page application means that once you type the URL, you press enter, the entire application is being downloaded into the browser. And from this point, all the interaction with the server is a web service call or JSON call and a JSON that returns. That's it. So the user experience is not that he pressed the link and the entire screen is being refreshed. It feels like on a desktop application, when just part of the screen is being refreshed. This is the idea behind single-page application. It's become a standard. In a single-page application, much of the work is being done in the browser side, okay, and not on the server side, because a lot of the basic logic that used to be done on the server side, like validation of the input, etc., is now being done on the client side. Responsive web design I talk about is about fitting the application to the screen. If you will open the new UI on a browser and then you will resize it, you will see that elements are being disappeared from the screen. And we have like three sizing in which the application, like small iPhones, medium tablets, and regular, which is a laptop or desktop. And when we design new screen, like third screen, full screen, a full day record screen, etc., we take into account from the very beginning those three sizes, and our design meetings deal with, okay, what are we going to hide in a mobile size, in a tablet size, and in a desktop size. MVCs. The classic UI is developed using the Struts framework, in which you have the Struts action, which it's the business logic running on the server. You have the Struts view, which is the HTML, running eventually on the client. I think that in Angular, of course, the view is on the browser, but the control is like splitted. A lot of business logic functionality, as I said, moved to the browser side. Some, of course, remain on the server side. Directive, what are directives? It's actually a way to extend the HTML language, okay? So if HTML have a body tag, a table tag, etc., when it comes to Angular, you can develop your own tags, okay? In Primo, you will find a facet tag, a search box tag, etc. The new development framework enable you to write your own directives, okay? And to reuse them in different places in the application. AngularJS comes with a building long set of directive, out-of-the-box directive that you can use, but as I said, you can use only your own. So directive is a way to teach HTML new tricks. Why customization? Because it will be based on your needs, on your concerns, the point that your pain points, and for a software developer, it's a big challenge. Think about it. Developing a software and developing a software that the customer can extend and develop their own code into it, it's a big difference. But especially in Primo, I think that there is no option for a vendor to provide discovery system without very high level of customization. I think in our case in Primo, it's become even more challenging because there are customers that want to change the color, and that's it. And they want a very simple way to do it. They don't have developers. They just want to change the colors. And they are the high-end customer that want, to add new functionality, and they have developers and have the power to do it. So you want to, you want to answer both needs.
And with the customization package, we are on the way to achieve it, because the customization package is for the high-end, okay? But we saw some example of people that are not developers can do the change. What we are thinking to do along the way is, we will see, is to give like a basic editor for the customization package. So you go into Primo back office, you select colors and basic things like that. Behind the scene, it will create a customization package. But you know, customers that don't have the skill to manage CSS will use it. It might something that we will do along the way. We will see, you know, we are still see how this customization package is being adopted by you. So we saw this directory structure. Eventually, you know, it's very simple. We are talking about a folder with a very strict definition, okay? The root folder is the name of your Primo view. Then you have a CSS folder for the CSS, HTML folder for static HTMLs, image for images, and JS for JavaScript and actually directive. It might go on with more options along the way, but this will remain the idea. There is one folder, very strict structure. This is where you put your code, you zip it, you load it to the server, and this is the native code between the platform and your code. Now, since it's very strict, it is shareable, okay? So it enables you, if you did something very nice, very good, it might interest the community, you can zip it, put it on GitHub. Anyone else in the room can download this package, put it on his Primo, and see, oh, this is something that I like, this is something that I want to copy, paste, or use as is. There's a question out there? Yeah, go ahead.
I can use the microphone and talk really loud. Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. You say that a package is defined per Primo view.
Yep.
But say that I create some new functionality that someone else might want to use, and I put it on GitHub. Does that mean that anyone else who wants to use this functionality has to manually combine it with their own package?
Right.
Yeah, so you can't like have several packages that stack on top.
Indeed, yeah, of course you cannot. But if you want to see, let's say that you add some great feature to the facet, okay? And this is the only thing that I want from your package. I have a lot of stuff that I did that I don't want your package to overwrite. But I can copy it, I can look, and I can copy the directive, which is eventually a file within the JS directory. So I can look at your package as a self-contained, good for you, and I can take one of the directives, the important one, and copy it into my, indeed, it's a good point. Yeah, the package is controlling the entire view. It's answering your question? Yeah, okay. So we have some single institution customer and we have a consortium. So we develop some kind of hierarchy support within those packages. The system comes with an OTB package. If you want to create your own package, you don't need to copy the entire OTB and changing it. So there is inheritance. If in your CSS you will add only one line to change one color, all the other color will be inherited from the OTB book. So only the changes that you made are combined with the out-of-the-box package. In a consortium, there are 3 layers. Okay, a consortium can define a package on the consortium level. Okay. So we want the same color for all the institutions within the consortium. So the consortium package will include the color pattern, but each institution within the consortium want a different logo. So there are like 3 types of hierarchy. First, we will look at the institution level package, then in the consortium level package, and eventually in the OTB package. Now I'm going to show us how how you can set up
development environment and start working. Let's see how it works, okay? This is Primo, this is the production. We have back office, the back office exposes a long list of APIs, and there is the Primo UX component, which is actually a web application, okay? Within this application, the customization package is sitting. So now an end user accesses the system, primo.com, and it sees the production package and is happy or not. And what you want to do, you want to copy. There is a way to, take the Primo UX component aside, okay? Put it in your clips. There is one file in which you can tell your environment where is the Primo back office, define actually this line, and now you can change your yellow package, do whatever you want to do, and access the browser. It will be a different URL. It will be the URL of your local development environment, and what you see is what you get. You change it, you change, you see, you change, you see, you change, you see, you change, you see. You happy? You zip it, you load it into the server, it replaces the production, okay? That's the trick. This is the way that enable you to do a quick development cycles. So it's straightforward. What you see is what you get. You change, you see it. You don't need to run deploy in this case, because the entire, another question, go ahead.
I was just giving you
1 minute, I will finish in 1 minute, yeah, I will finish. You don't need to run deploy because you are running a standalone version of the web server, okay? So it's all on your computer. You don't need to run deploy when you do a change. It's effective immediately. You change the file, you see the result. Quick development cycle, which is very important, speed up the development. And you're working on a separate environment, but you use production data. It's very important in this kind of development to use the production data, because you are based on your ACC number, and based on your development is very in touch with the data. So you are working aside on your real data without impacting production. This is very important. And it is not about customization, it's actually coding. It's not that you are customizing, you are coding. You add your code, you can change the application totally. And if you think that you break something, or if we install a release and something stop working, and you are thinking maybe this is because of my customization package, in the URL you can type, I don't know exactly, but you can write like OTB or something like that, and you will get it. You will get the interface with the OTB configuration, so you can learn whether it's you that break something, or it's something that was break without any connection to your customization package. Again, it's address upgrade issue, because we are guarantee that if you work according to the best practice, the release will not break, a new release will not break your customization. We are working on documentation. We will continue to work on the documentation. There are some already out there in the development platform, and there will be more. I think that we believe the documentation is a key here, okay? Because if we will not provide documentation, people will not work under the best practice, and it will get out of control. So it's very important to us to run very fast with documentation. We already started, we will continue. And I think that that's it, that's my part. And Noam, please show us, don't tell us.
No, sorry, no more questions at this time.
You've been cut off.
Okay, I'm Noam from the development team, and as Guy said, I'm gonna jump into a demo of the new customization in the Primo UI. I have here a little intro that was probably discussed in the previous demonstration, so I'm gonna jump right into the recipes or demos for customization in the new UI. So the first one is actually the installation. And by the way, how many of you did install or download the new customization environment? Okay. I wasn't fully aware that you are doing that, but that's good. Anyone had trouble, had a bad experience so far? Okay, that's a good sign. So I'm not going to actually show you how to install it, but I'm going to, we have references for the GitHub repository where you can download the development environment, okay, from here, and you can see it has internal documentation. That's the practice we chose to document the package. In here you have installation, how to install the system, and we have references here to how to customize CSS, HTML, images, and JavaScript. So that's the first place you need to visit before you do that. And there are actually two parts to customizing Primo. There is the customization package that Bettina showed you how to work even without the environment. Okay, you can just download the package from your back office or from GitHub and just work offline and upload it, deploy, and see the changes take effect. And you can work with the environment and get immediate feedback, as we're going to see right now. But the first thing you want to do when you download the environment is install it. To do that, you need Node.js. Just install it on your machine, and then you need some third parties. I'm not going to do it. It's just clicking the commands and waiting for a while until they are downloaded. You need to install NPM. Okay, that's the first thing here. And then you need to use it to install gulp and use it again to install all of the third parties that we need for the environment to run. So we're actually installing a development environment on your local machine. And then the third part, the third bullet here is the most interesting one, because it gives me an opportunity to really explain what the environment does. You configure the proxy server. You actually need to go into the system and configure your Primo frontend, sandbox, or production. And I'm going to talk about it in a minute. And then you need to start your environment by this command, okay? You need to use gulp and the run command, and then 2 dashes, the keyword view, and your view or folder, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, in which your package is located, okay? You're telling the system to run with this customization folder. Okay, so once you do that, you will get the development environment that should look something like this, okay? You can use any ID you want. You can use like Bettina Notepad if you want, but probably you would like something else. I'm demoing on WebStorm. And the environment has the gulp directory with scripts for the server when it starts, to zip a package and so on. The node modules, when you ran npm install, everything was downloaded to this directory, just third parties you need. And the main folder here is the Primo Explore, and under it, the custom directory. Inside it, you have your packages. Okay, in my case, I have some here. We're going to talk about most of them, okay? Some packages. Every package is built in the same way Guy showed you, CSS, HTML, images, and JavaScript, okay? So that's the general structure of the system, and you need, the single configuration you need to do is define the proxy server right here in the config.js file, okay? In this case, I'm running against the demo, which has the August release, okay? But you can see here, Sometimes I want to test it against against our developer server that has the November release. This is another demo for Alma, and another QA environment on the cloud. So you can switch environments and test the same developments on your environment, on the demo, on another Primo. So that goes for the ability to really share your developments and really test them against different Primo installations, okay? So once you define your proxy server, you go into the command line, same directory that the package is located at, okay? Right here. And you start the server by gulp run --view and north in this case, because this is the name of the directory I want to demo, okay? North, and it's actually also the name of the view under the actual Primo server I'm working with. So once the server is up, you get here a notification that it's running under port 8003. It actually looks for files that you customized in your file system and just prints them. It's not much. But you can see you get an environment with the same search results. You can sign in, you can see your loans, and whatever data the users have, the exact same way it would look on your production server. In this case, okay, Primo demo. It's the same as the Primo demo, okay. It's the exact same environment, okay. And this is something I like to do from time to time. I just go into the actual environment and just, did I press enter? Oh. If I have like a scenario from QA or from a customer, I just do it on their server, search for something, click a facet. There's no facets here. Oh, they're here. Click a facet. And then I just change the prefix to my localhost machine. And I should get the exact same scenario just on my localhost machine, okay? That's already running on my machine, but that's the same facet selected and everything, and I can debug the problem and see it. So that's the first recipe, just installing and running the system. And I'm gonna stop for a minute because we had questions about it and explaining about two ways to work with the system. The first way is customizing a view. It's what we saw and talked about until now. You wanna take the package, customize your CSS images, JavaScript for your entire view, put everything in one package, zip it up, share it with people, and maybe on GitHub, and have everything in one view. It's really a classic way to customize your view. And I'm going to show the first demos in that way. But later on, I'm going to show a different way to think about it, and maybe work differently. So I'm going to show some CSS customizations. The first one is, it reminds what Bettina did, really apply your library colors on the new Primo UI. So and it goes to the way we want you to work less hard. So we created like a best practice of customizing the colors in the system. It's available in August, partially available, and will be extended in November, and so on. We will add more and more colors. So the way you do it is you open the file named colors.json. It's inside your environment. This is how it looks. Okay, you can choose your primary, secondary, background color, links, and warning, and define them according to your library colors. In August, I think it's just the primary that will do anything. In November, we added secondary and background, maybe links, and we'll add more and more. So once you define these colors, you can run a Gulp script named app CSS in the same way and get really the colors deployed throughout the system. This is the August release, okay? So I'm running Gulp, app CSS. Okay, what you will see is inside the CSS directory, a new file was added, app colors. Okay, it's just every color, not every, that's what we're working on November, but most of the color definitions in the system. Okay, some of them were replaced by definitions I defined earlier in the colors JSON, okay? So you can see here I have different colors from the OTB. Okay, so if I restart the server now, and go back to my environment here. Okay, I get the new colors, and I get them deployed all around the system. If this primary color repeats in another place with a different shading, or something like that, it will be replaced all over. You can see it when you open the full view. Here, this part also gets its definition from that color. So instead of replacing it in 100 places, you just do it in one place. And that's the concept for other colors as well. So that's the first customization that we have in CSS. I'm going to just remove it so we go back to the original colors. And the second CSS change I want to talk about is moving the facets to the left. It goes to a different ability of CSS, and it is to play with the layout. Some of you do that quite a lot. And to do that, you need to select the parent container, the container that has both the facets and the search result inside it. You need to copy the definition of the selector, and you need to use Flexbox to reverse the elements order. You can do whatever you want, but it's the best practice. Since we're using CSS3 and we have Flexbox and we're using it quite a lot, it gives you an opportunity to use it yourself. Flexbox is a way to define elements as rows or columns and define their child elements to display as rows and columns, and the order of the display. So in this case, we're going to tell the parent element of the search results and the facets to reverse the order of elements. Okay, that's a very simple CSS rule. And to save some time, I'm going to copy it just from here, okay, and we'll talk about it. Okay. You can see here I use the selector to choose the MD content. You can do all sorts of selectors, but it's a simple one to choose the parent element. And I'm telling it that the flex direction should be row reverse, okay? So refreshing now the results. Okay, the facets have moved to the left in a very easy way. And you can do that for every element that we already use Flexbox in it, like the menu here. I think we use a Flexbox there. And if not, you can add CSS definitions to convert it to Flex and then play with the order. So that's the first part of CSS recipes. The second part is really quite easy and was demoed already, and that's the images configuration. You just need to create your images, follow a naming convention, okay, like this. And I, again, prepared some images here and drop them inside your image directory and refresh the page. Okay, you get here the fav icon, library logo, and default resource type images replaced. So that's quite easy, not much to talk about here. But I guess you understand it, but you're actually working on your localhost machine. Of course, if I go into the actual Primo demo, nothing happened there. Okay, so that's the real power of the development environment, and that's important to understand before we go to the JavaScript section, okay? It's gonna be 3 or 4 examples from simple to more advanced. And the first one is the Hello World example we saw Ulrich talked about. And we're actually going to use the show directive scriptlet that we saw just to see what directives are available for us to tap into, because, and we're going to see the power of that in a minute. Add a component declaration, a directive, a component are 2 similar definitions of Angular to really make your own HTML elements, like Guy said. And you need to add the template property, which is the actual HTML that will be displayed. So that is done inside the JS directory right here. There's the custom JS file. And this is really the first point in which the meaning of developing for a view or developing a feature, this is where it starts to be meaningful. This time we're developing a view, so we're just working on the custom JS file. Okay, we're gonna add this component declaration that has just this span with the hello world message. Again, save it. We don't even need to refresh. And we will get the message in place right here. So that's an example we already saw. Let's go on to the second example, which is a dynamic directive, okay? And the workflow is actually the same. You use the show directive scriptlet to identify the directive you want to tap into. We're going to use the same directive, the PRM search bar after. We're going to use those 3 commands to, and there are many ways to do it, but we want to know what is the scope of the element that we're tapping into. Okay, you want to know what's the dynamic data that you can use in the system. So you're telling Angular to reload in debugging mode. You're focusing on the directive you want to tap into, and you use this Angular command to reveal the scope of the parent controller, because writing your own directives is actually done technically. What we did is we took our directives and added a last child element to every one of our directives that you can tap into and use it. And this last child element knows, okay, it identifies the scope of its parent controller. So every directive you can tap into knows everything around it, every dynamic data that his parent knows. So that's the way to one of the ways to understand what's available for you. Then what we're going to do is use this property here to actually achieve what I just talked about. We want to know everything the parent controller knows, so we have to add this line. You don't have to understand what it does, but just use it every time you want to get the parent controllers injected into your directive. Whenever you want to use data, you have to add it. Okay, you will have to add a controller definition. The controller is the part of the code that handles the interaction between clicks and whatever happens on the screen and whatever you want to the controller to return to the HTML template. And you will define getter methods or code that will actually manage this, will get the data from the controller, and then you can reference those methods from the template to actually display it. So it's easier to show than tell. It's easier to demo. So this is the actual code. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna work by the book. It will be better. And okay, let's do that by the book. First, the show directive scriptlet, okay, just to know where I can tap into. In this case, I'm choosing the PRM search bar after directive, okay? I'm going to inspect it, and that's the directive I want to tap into. It's empty right now, and you can see it's a child element of the PRM search bar directive. So I want to add abilities to the PRM search bar, so I'm going to tap into the PRM search bar after directive, okay? And you can see here, that's just that you understand that we define the PRM search bar after directive to get the parent controller from the PRM search bar. That's the point where that causes this directive to know everything that its parent's directive knows. So once I am focused on it, I can use the Angular reload. I need to reload it in debugging info. Then I need to really focus on it again. PRM search bar after. And this is it. I'm focusing it again, and then I'm running this command, okay? Let's see what we get here. Okay, what we see here is everything the parent controller knows. Okay, for example, the main search field, the query I search for, the scope field, the scope I search into, and the entire scope list somewhere here. This one, for example, all resources, articles box, many properties that I can use. You can see here methods as well and services as well. We really recommend not using them because we won't be able to keep ourselves backwards compatible. If we use our methods and we want to change the signature, it will be a problem. So we really encourage you to write your own methods, but use the properties. If it's scope field, it's gonna stay scope field. The name will not change, so it won't break for you. So this is what we can use. Let's see how to do that. And now we can add the code. So this is the component, the directive definition for the PRM search bar after. We took the ID from the scriptlet. We want to add a component with this ID. This line here really gets to our scope, the scope of our parent controller, so we can reference it and get the real data. This is the controller definition. We gave it an ID and defined it up here. This is the reference to the controller, and this is the actual controller. And this is the template, okay? You can see here, this div here, you can see that we're not just writing simple HTML like here in the div. We are already using third-party directives by Angular material, and they are always prefixed with the MD dash prefix. So this is a directive, and we're using it. Okay, you can use third-party directives to get the same look and feel that we're using. Because if you want your HTML to look like our system, you can use the MD card. You can use MD buttons to get really responsive buttons in your system. And the part of the code where you bind the HTML to the dynamic data is here, okay? You want to present the query, which will be taken from the getQuery method in your controller, and the getSelected scope method in your controller. Let's go to the controller. This is the controller here. And you can see here the VM definition. VM is actually the scope, what the controller knows. It stands for view model, I think. It's somewhere in between the view and the model. It's actually both. This is everything the controller knows, okay? And you can see we define two methods, the getSelected and scope and getQuery. Just define the methods. And each method returns from the scope properties of the parent controller. The properties we found using the developer tools commands, the scope field and the main search field. So we reference these methods in the HTML and define them in the controller. And you can see here it's reloaded, and every time I change the query down here and the scope, the query and the scope changes in the actual directive you wrote. And that's the binding that Angular gives us between the model and the template, okay? So this is a more advanced example of using directives. I imagine you can use it in various ways. And before I go over to the next examples, I want to make a change in how we think about developing, customizing a view. That's what we did so far, and developing a feature, which is a slightly different concept. We will publish a blog about it that's already in the making, okay? Somewhere here. No, it's not here, it's here, okay. And it's really doing the same stuff in a different way that will help you share and maintain your directives better. So if I want to there was a question here. If I want to share packages between institutions, the likelihood that I will have the exact same configuration in CSS in two different institutions is not very high. But I want a specific feature to be shared between institutions. That's more likely, okay? And even internally, if I develop features and not tie them up with my CSS implementation, it will be easier to manage bugs or really disable features from time to time. So it's really a more clean workflow. And I'm going to show a recipe of using a directive to add the altmetrics widget to your system. And I'm going to show how to do it in this new way. So again, we're going to use the show directives, but now we're going to tap into the PRM full view after directive, okay? Again, the same method exactly, just to find out what can I tap into. Add a binding, add a controller. And then I'm going to use the DOI from the parent controller to really let the altmetrics JavaScript add its widget into the system. So I'm going to add the div, and I'm going to bind it. So okay. So if I go into the full view of an item, and now use the show directive, I will see a bunch of directives I can tap into. In this case, I want the it's here somewhere. It's here. This one? I don't know, it's here. The PRM full view after directive, and I want to tap into it. So I'm going to inspect just and find it like that.
It's in the bottom left corner where your tooltip is for the URL.
It's all planned. I'm just showing you a different way to find it. PRM full view after. Okay, it's here. Oops, lost it. It's here, and I'm again gonna reload with debug info, which I already did. And I'm gonna refocus on it. And I'm going to refocus on it. And run this command. And this is everything that I know in the full view, which obviously I should have the PNX here because I'm at the full view. Now I have to find it, but maybe it's here. No. Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay, so this is the item. So now we can really see the power of knowing everything the parent directive knows, because you know the PNX. Okay, Ulrich showed an example of using the, what was it? Some field from the control section, right? So that's nice, and he showed an example of using the link section. But sometimes the link section is just this weird template. Okay, it's not a link, because Primo knows how, in the delivery manager, knows how to translate this to a link. But now, except for you having the entire PNX, and in the current UI, you don't have the entire PNX. If you need like an ILS API ID or something in the control section, and it's not displayed on the screen, you can't by jQuery find it. You have to, it has to be in the DOM. So you have to either call the show PNX API to get the entire PNX, or you need to tap into some arbitrary link and pass it out somewhere, and it will break. This code it tends to break. So now you have the entire PNX, but you also have the entire delivery response. Inside of it, you have the links, okay, already translated, okay, to the actual link. It's not the template anymore. So you have tons of information because you have actually everything we need to make the system work. You have it too, okay? So you have many more options to take advantage of this data. Although in this particular example, all I need is the actual DOI. I just need the DOI from the PNX. So I'm going to comment it out, but I need to show you that I'm no longer working as a view customization in the north directory here. I want to work on a feature, okay? So I'm going to do that by changing the proxy server. I don't want to work against the demo anymore. I want to work against this server here, the Primo Alma demo. Okay, that's the first point. I'm going to stop the server, and I'm going to start it again, but this time, and that's interesting, I'm going to tell it to work against not a view. I'm not going to write the view name here. I'm just going to write a folder name that I created that has the feature, in this case, this one, the Primo Explorer Altmetrics demo. I just created a folder, my name. I gave it the Primo Explorer prefix because that's what we do, and that was discussed. Okay, inside of it, I don't need the entire development package. My feature only requires CSS and JavaScript, and that's basically most of the feature will only require CSS and JavaScript. So I put only those two folders inside there. Okay, now I'm going to start a server, and I'm going to tell it to work against this folder, Primo Explore Alt Metrics. What are the chances that I'm going to do it right? Looks okay. Okay, the server is started. So now I'm developing against this folder, okay? The code I'm going to write is all located here. So if I go into the JS directory and the files inside it, these are the files that are going to have my development inside. And you can see I used a different file structure here. The custom JS file that we used earlier is fine. That's the file we're going to upload to with the package to the back office later. That's the target code. But I want to write my source code in separate files. I have 5 directives. I'm going to write each and every one of them in a separate file, give them separate names. Okay, in this case, the Primo Explore Altmetrics demo. Inside of it, I have just the definitions for the controller and the component. Okay, just for this directive, it's here. There is a file here, the module file. It only has the definition. It's the same definition all the time, just the module definition. Just keep it there. And I'm going to develop on my source code. My source code is here. This is where I develop my feature. I'm going to just go over it, because that's part of the demo as well. This is the component, the PRM full view after. This is the binding to the parent controller. This is the definition of the parent controller. The template here is actually, I just copied the same way we present every service in the full view. Just copied it and replaced just this part with the altmetrics div, okay? Altmetrics needs, the API works, they need a div. They need some data attributes that we have to fill for them. The most interesting one is the DOI right here, okay? They need us to send them data DOI equals data from the controller that we're going to fetch for them. So that's the HTML template. This is the controller, okay? Same idea, two new things. First of all, the definition, what the controller needs to do when it loads. When it comes to life on init, it needs to use Angular load. That's the second thing. Angular load is a third party that just loads third-party scripts. I want to use the script, the equivalent, what you would do in the current UI, you would go to the footer and add a link to this JavaScript. So now you can use just Angular load. It's cleaner because you're just saying, I don't want to add the script to every page in the system. I just want this directive to use it. If it needs it, it will load it and use it. So you actually load a third-party script, okay, and you populate the DOI from the parent controller, additional data DOI. I just added here a fallback for the demo because I don't have the energy to find the record with the DOI. And then, okay, then you need, the only difference here is you need a link to the correct view. Although I'm working against my folder, my PRM, full view, altmetrics demo, I still need in the URL, of course, to give the correct view. In this case, it's Alma Cloud. And I will get, no, it's not Alma Cloud, it's Alma Cloud? Probably, yes. And if I go into the full view, I will get the altmetrics widget right here, okay? So that's a very, the example is here to show you how to use third parties inside your directives very easily. So, and to do it developing a feature and not developing a view, okay? So the next step, I'm going to go shortly through it, is how to take advantage of the system and share your code and your packages between customers, institutions, and so on. So to do that, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to talk about the concept. First of all, if you want to share your source code, if you want other developers to see your source code, maybe change it, branch it in GitHub. You probably should use GitHub. You can see I use it here. I just use a Git client and add this project and post it on GitHub. Everybody knows my source code, and you already saw, for some reason, everybody actually knows about my little demo. Don't take it too seriously. These are just demos I posted here. So they're on GitHub. You can see the source code. That's nice, but if you want to share not your source code, you want to share actually your package, your ability to present the altmetrics widget, you want to actually share your feature, and you probably want to use NPM. To do that, you need to add, everything is done with NPM, so you just need to add the package JSON this entire development environment is relying on NPM, because you remember at the beginning we ran NPM install to download every third party we need. Right now we're just defining ourselves as a third party. This Primo Explorer Altmetrics widget, we want to define it as shareable. So we give it an ID, a version, this is my ID, a link to the Git repository, you don't have to do that, and that's it. Just drop the file there, change the attributes, and it's now ready to be shared. You just go to the folder, you run npm publish, and it's there, it's on npm, okay? So that's what I did. And you can see I have here some npm packages. So that's sharing. Once you put it there, everyone can use it. How can you use it? That's the last demo. So I'm gonna go back to the view concept. Now you want to actually get your view configured and load it to the back office. So you configure a folder with your view ID, in this case, Alma Cloud. Okay, inside it, if you go into the custom CSS file, you have like a very basic definition that shouldn't actually be here, but that's okay. And you have a custom JS file. It can be empty. Okay, it should be empty, and the custom CSS file as well. Okay, that's the basic empty out-of-the-box package. And you have a package JSON as well. But you now want to use other development. So in this case, I assumed you want to use the search bar after demo directives we saw the second example. So I added it as a dev dependency. Just add this line here with the version. And if you were in Yuval's session a couple of days ago, the link data widget, I want to use it. Let's say it's something Mehmet developed, okay? Now, I didn't develop it at all. He put it on NPM, but I want to use it. So I add it here. That's it. I go into the directory. I run npm install again. Okay, inside the Alma Cloud directory, I go into the command line, run npm install. What will happen? This node modules directory will be created for me, and you can see it downloaded those two projects inside here. So I have now the linked data that has a CSS and a JavaScript. Here, it's the source code. Do we have time to go over this JavaScript? No, we don't. So it's on npm, it's on GitHub. You can go over it. That's the code that adds the directive, and it's there. And once we start the environment, okay, but against the Alma Cloud directory, what will happen is actually, and that's why using the Primo Explore prefix is important, we actually go over the node modules directory, look for every project with Primo-Explore, and concatenate its content into the custom JS file that suddenly has a definition and the custom one CSS file. So now, hopefully, if I refresh my environment, I get two features I didn't even develop, or one I developed and one I didn't develop. I get them working inside my system. This is the search bar after directive, okay? And this is somewhere here below. I'm giving it time to load. Yeah, it is. Okay, this is the linked data directive that I didn't even develop, but I want to use. So this is the last slide, I promise. Last thing you want to do is create a package, upload it to back office. We just added a nice script to do that for you. You open the command line, and we run gulp create package. Let's do that. Gulp create package. It will prompt you with every package you have on your environment, and you will probably have some, okay? You have to choose which one. I'm going to choose one. And then I will get inside the packages directory this zip file. It will only have the custom JS file. It won't have the source files that you used for your features. It just has the things it needs for the environment to work, because There is a chance if you just zip your directory, sometimes it will have files that the back office won't allow you to load. So just use it to make sure it only loads what you need. You load it to the back office, deploy, and you get the exact same development. Should be working exactly the same. There is no reason why not, because you already saw it working on your environment. Should be working on your server. So this is it, I think. Probably no questions, right?
I'm going to say something again. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions, but all of IGeLU staff are here during lunch and even short time after that, so you can ask them questions. But one thing I really do want to say, and I have to say after watching this, my trust in the development of this has increased a lot. And the way it's developed and the way you can customize it and the way you feel like nothing's going to happen with a new upgrade, now if you follow the standards, I have a lot more trust in the system than ever before, so I'm quite happy personally. Thank you very much, Norm. Thank you very much, Guy. Really appreciate it. We have Mehmet's presentation supposedly now, but we also have lunch. We can't have both, so we're going to prefer lunch. Sorry, Mehmet, no offense. But what we're going to do is we're going to come back at 1:20 when lunch finishes, because we've already exceeded about 10-12 minutes into it. I'm going to try speaking to all the speakers during the lunch time to see if we can adjust sometimes accordingly and try to finish maybe just 10 minutes late, but no more than that. So that's the plan at this time.